Going on, dudes and dudettes? So yes, this is a kind of a quick update of what USC stuff has happened this week, but also from the past couple of weeks when it comes to their Olympic sports and like swimming and diving and track and field, all those accolades they got. So save that part for the end, so it might run on a little bit. So get to more of the important stuff at the beginning of this video. So USC football did get a commitment from a 3-star San Diego offensive lineman who's 6'7", 280, and Chase Deniz. And yeah, he's a big time guy. He's only a 3-star as of right now, but like I said, they could always build up to that next level of rating. And then, you know, he's 6'7", already almost 300 pounds going into his senior year. So he's probably going to reach about that once he gets to campus if he does end up sticking with this commitment. And I guess they're just trying to get as many guys as they can just for future stuff because they feel like they could get almost 30 when usually you get about 20 to 25 guys from high school. But they just want to get as many players as possible, especially the local guys in California. So hopefully they'll be able to add some more talented guy, especially Brandon Arrington, who's also from San Diego. And then when it comes to this player who just entered the portal from Stanford, who is a linebacker slash edge player, and David Bailey, who was a modern day player, if I'm not mistaken, out there in Orange County. But yeah, he's been one of those like highly talented guys, not only once he was a senior in high school in California, but then, you know, I thought he should have left for the draft a handful of the last couple of seasons, but for some reason he has always returned, maybe to get his full degree at Stanford, and maybe he already has it and just wanted to stay another season. But I guess they had just recently fired their head coach, and now he's looking to go somewhere else. So I really want USC to put all their chips in for this guy, even if they end up losing a player or two, whether it's a guy who's playing right now or a future guy on their roster at that same position. I don't care, because this guy is a once-in-a-lifetime type of guy you can add on defense, especially at that position that they sorely need, especially a guy who gets sacks on the defensive line. So hoping they do all they can to get him, but either way, it's really up to him in the end. And then Juju Watkins was also recently named the U.S. Basketball Writers of Association National Player of the Year, so congrats to her. There was a Florida State junior guard, Tania Latson. I believe she's entering the portal, which she says she's leaving all options open, including returning to FSU, but she just recently led the country in scoring at like 25 plus per game. So I'm not surprised that a player who showed what they can do, and they obviously have to stay in college, that she's going to be trying to get as much money as she can in an NIL deal, whether it's with Florida State or with some other team who's willing to pay her a buttload of money. And now, as I mentioned in the recent video of the USC upload, that Juju Watkins might be out for most of the season, and obviously this player can play and can score quite a bit. And once Juju comes back later in the season and you pair those two up, because Kiki's going to be gone into the WNBA, I don't think she has fully committed to going into the draft yet, but I'm pretty sure she's most likely going to go there because she could be a top 2 or 3 overall pick in my opinion. But to have another star, at least a shooting star, with Juju Watkins next year at some point, then I think USC should do all they can to try to get Latson on their roster in the portal. And then, yeah, Shezzy Davidson, who's the incoming 5-star player for the women's basketball side, apparently she will be rejoining the under 18 at the Nike Hoop Summit for Team USA, and I know she was a gold medalist in 2024 for them. So yeah, hopefully she can bring back another gold or whatever, at least win that competition that they are going to be going to next month. And then a couple of top guys were on USC's campus pretty recently. The 5-star quarterback Ryder Lyons, even a top offensive lineman, local guy in Sam Utu, the 4-star. So yeah, once again, a lot of guys coming back. And these aren't even official visits. They're just coming to hang out. And even Ryder is from Northern California, so you know he had to travel just to come and hang out, and it's not his OV. So hopefully that's at least they're on the right track to be able to get his commitment at some point in the near future. And then I think even Drake London, an ex-USC wide receiver who's in the NFL right now with the Falcons, was on campus too. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So hopefully they can get a lot of these guys. Like I said, they're trying to get that big old class for the 2026 recruiting class. And then there was a 4-star safety in Honor Alave Johnson. Apparently he's going to have a spring visit with USC on April 5th coming up soon. That's not an official visit, but hopefully they can get an official one, especially because he only has USC and Oregon right now, and hopefully he ends up choosing USC in the end. There was a 3-star interior offensive lineman, Jelaine Miller, who has an unofficial visit to USC coming up, I think this weekend on March 28th. And then he's going to have an official visit to USC on June 20th or 20th. Yeah, that's 20th. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on right now. I'm it's kind of blurry. But yes, either way, hopefully they can get some talented guy. I think he's from Arizona, so yeah, just picking off a couple of the places near California to take some of their better players too. That's always a nice thing to see for USC. There was a pretty talented guy too, whose name is Ahmad Hudson, who plays football and basketball. He's a tight end and power forward / center. He's like 6'8", 230 already. He says he's a 5-star, so I'm assuming that's in basketball, but he says he's the #1 tight end in the country. That's obviously on his Twitter profile, but of course USC offered him, so I don't know. We'll see if he ends up coming to USC to play football or basketball, just like Drake London. He pretty much committed to play basketball. He was only like a 2 or 3-star guy, and then he ended up being a first-round NFL wide receiver selection when he came out. So either way, we'll see what ends up happening with those talented athletes that come to USC. And then there was a Florida State transfer in Taylor Bowen, and it looks like he's going to be heading to USC tomorrow for a visit. Then he's heading to a couple other places too, so hopefully they can get him at some point because he's a very talented dude also from the ACC. And then the Anaheim Ducks had a victory the other day, 6-2 against the Boston Bruins, if I'm not mistaken, so congrats to them. And speaking of the track and field stuff, yes, when it comes to the USTFCCCA West Region Women's Track Athlete of the Year, Dejaz DeFrand won that of USC. And then the USTFCCCA West Region Men's Assistant Coach of the Year, Jeff Petersmeyer, won that. And then the West Region Men's Coach of the Year, Quincy Watts, ended up winning that. So congrats to him. And then a school record was broken by Raquel Broderick in the discus throw at 63.09 meters. So congrats. And then the women's discus throw, I believe they had all 1, 2, and 3, first, second, and third place with Reese Garland, Ashley Erasmus, and Carissa Owens. And a couple had USC history and personal records too. So congrats to those ladies. Another school record was broken with Ashley Erasmus and her shot put at 17.82 meters. So congrats. And then the Zone E diving champion, first place went to Kate Miller. She won the women's 3-meter diving event with the final score of 6:39. So, and she also qualified for the NCAAs on the 3 meters. So congrats. And then the diving champion for the men's side, Moritz Westerman, got that first score at 7:36. So yeah, he also punched his ticket to the NCAA championships. And the rest of this is just a lot of reading. So yeah, sorry if you don't see me, but I'm going to get through all of it. Because if I don't get through all of it, then I feel like a loser. So let's get through all this stuff. So when it comes to the All-American second team selection, Caroline Famous won for the 200-yard medley relay. Another second team All-American for Caitlin Dobler, 200-yard medley relay. Second team for Mina Abraham, 200-yard medley relay. And the second team for Vasilisa Buyania, I know I'm getting this wrong, 200-yard medley relay. A first team for Mina Abraham on the 800-yard freestyle relay. First team for Claire Tuggle on the 800-yard freestyle relay. First team for Mackie Hodges on the 800-yard freestyle relay. And first team for Ella Ristic on the 800-yard freestyle relay. Second team for Claire Tuggle on the 500-yard freestyle. Second team for Justina Kozan on the 500-yard freestyle. Second team for Kate Miller on the 3-meter diving. Second team for Claire Tuggle on the 200-yard freestyle. First team for Mina Abraham on the 200-yard freestyle. Second team for Caitlin Dobler on the 100-yard breaststroke. And a record was broken by Mina Abraham on the 200-yard freestyle, which is pretty cool at 1.40. Another first teamer of Caroline Famous on the 400-yard medley relay. First teamer of Caitlin Dobler on the 400-yard medley relay. First teamer for Gigi Sassaville on the 400-yard medley relay. And first team for Mina Abraham on the 400-yard medley relay. Another first team for Mina Abraham on a 100-yard freestyle. She's a beast, obviously. And she also broke another record, Mina Abraham, on that 100-yard freestyle at 46.95. She's also a first teamer, Mina Abraham, on the 400-yard freestyle relay. First teamer, Caroline Famous, 400-yard freestyle relay. First teamer, Claire Tuggle on the 400 freestyle relay. If these end up being like same and I just downloaded them again, then I will edit this part out, trust me. Another first teamer for Vasilisa Bonilla, 400-yard freestyle relay. And on the men's side, they got a second teamer in Luke Maurer on the 800-yard freestyle relay. Second team for Oliver Sagaro Anderson, 800-yard freestyle relay. Second team for Ben Dillard, 800-yard freestyle relay. And the second team for Krzysztof Chmielewski, 800-yard freestyle relay. And the record was broken by Luke Maurer on the 200-yard IM at 1:42.19. Second team was also for Shangfei Wang at the 1 meter diving. Second team for Krzysztof Chmielewski at the 500-yard freestyle. First team for Moritz Westman at the 1 meter diving. And speaking of other Olympic sports, yes, the women's water polo got a victory against number 5 Cal 13-9. And then Jasmine Koo of the women's golf signed with House of Victory. So congrats to her. And she's been winning a bunch of stuff too. So yeah, she's definitely deserved to make some NIL money. And then on the men's tennis side, they ended up defeating Northwestern 4-1. And the women's tennis side beat Michigan State 4-0. So yes, luckily I've been able to update you on all those other sports that they kept popping up. I forgot that the championships were also for USC side, and I know I just did Duke too. So luckily everything's all caught up, and at least they did pretty well. So I got to talk about them at least instead of just, not having to talk about them. So either way, grateful for that. So thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Fight on. And good luck to those women on Saturday.